What's incredible to me about all your guitarists is anyone that loves the Black Crowes that talks about, what was the first guy's name? I never heard him mentioned. I'm not being a jerk. I've never heard anyone talk about him.
His name is Jeff Cease.
Okay, so we'll give props to Jeff Cease. I just never heard anybody talk about it. But if you go, in my world, you go Mark Ford, Audley Freed, and Luther Dickinson, each guy, there's the exact same amount of reverence for each guy. It's not like, well, fucking, it is like this Stones-esque thing. Like, nobody really will badmouth Brian Jones with the teardrop guitar, and no one will badmouth Ronnie Wood, no one will badmouth Mick Taylor or Keith Richards.
Look, those guys are all great musicians, and they're not similar. We never, in no way, shape, or form, that would any of us ever have said, he's not in the band anymore, let's find a guy that plays like him. We just don't think like that. It's always... when we first played with Audley, like Audley's audition for the Black Crowes was ridiculous. He comes to Atlanta. None of us knew him. We'd met him briefly, but we heard about he had a band, Cry of Love, and there was always talk of Cry of Love, great band. This guitar player's great. We had some mutual friends. He comes to Atlanta in 97, shortly after Mark had left the band. We played with 6 or 7 different guys, and Chris was in LA then. So this is just me and Rich. And then Sven had just started playing with us, and so Sven was there. But
Johnny Colt leaves, and now Sven replaces Johnny Colt on bass. Why did Johnny Colt leave?
He was just totally wanted to do other things. I mean, he quit, and first thing he did was he was really into yoga. He opened a yoga studio. He was an instructor. He was just going into very different things.
All right, you know what? I just got to cut you off because that gave me douche chills. He quit the Black Crowes to open a fucking yoga shop. Holy shit, Johnny Colt. I hope you're listening to this. And I hope you have your nose in another guy's ass doing Dog We're Down, guys. Good session, guys. Why did Mark Ford leave the Black Crowes?
He's playing, by the way, Johnny Colt's playing in Leonard Skinner now. Does that balance the deck for you a little bit? Is that better?
If they were alive, yeah.
So let me finish the story so I forget.
Real quick, why did Mark Ford leave?
It just was time for him to go. He didn't want to be there anymore. And neither did Johnny. And you know what? It's unfortunate. And looking back now, here's the thing about Jeff Cease, who you've never heard of and don't care about. You know what I always wanted? What I wanted and what I would say to anybody that asks, and again, totally my thing. I've loved every this band's had several different, lineups, and I think they've all hit moments where they're just fucking perfect. But in a perfect world, like as a kid growing up, I would have never wanted anyone to leave. I wanted to be U2 or the Beatles. Same guys forever. That's what you want,
So Audley Freed's audition.
It's hard to do, and it didn't work out. But I'm happy to say, but it's, you make these relationships. Like I go years without seeing Jeff Cease. I moved to Nashville. I see him the first week I'm in town. It's like, dude, what's up? I mean, I see him all the time. He's an awesome dude, great player. I love him to death. I'm so happy to see him. I saw Johnny a few months ago. He was in town rehearsing with Skinner, and I walked out of the hallway at SIR, and I heard him talk, and I go, that's fucking Johnny Colt. I just knew it was, and it's like we spent so much time together at still a young age where those bonds, you get mad and you can go, fuck you, and I quit, and okay, and you get past that, and it's like we're all still tight, you know what I mean? It's very important stuff that we all went through together. All that to say, Audley comes in. We've played with 6 or 7 guys. He plugs in. We start playing.
What song?
I don't know what we played first, but we ran through Morning Song, and we went into a long middle of it. and it ended. We played with Audley for a total of like 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, that's the guy. And Rich looked at me. He's like, that's the dude. And Sven, who's new, he's like, I think that guy's amazing. We're like, okay, cool. And then Audley lived in Raleigh at the time. We're in Atlanta. It's a Friday afternoon. And we had played for like 30 minutes. And I said, well, dude, that was awesome. Sounded great. I go, you know what? It's Friday. It's 2 o'clock. If you got to hit the road, go ahead now and beat the traffic, man. Like, that was so fucking good. We don't even have to play anymore. He, of course, heard that as, beat the traffic, dude. See you later. You sucked. I mean, because like, if it's great, why wouldn't we keep playing? Right. But we didn't keep playing because I just knew, well, if we're getting a new guy, it's going to be that guy. That was it.
Now, do you have to call Chris and tell him he was amazing, dude? Trust us.
Yeah. No, of course. I called Chris and he said, "What's up with that Audley dude?" I said, that's the dude.
And then Chris said, "Well, all right."
He said, "What does Rich think?" I said, "Rich thinks he's great." He goes, "What does Sven say?" Sven said he's great. And then Chris goes, all right, well, when I come to town, we'll play with him again. So then, of course, we played with him again with Chris, and it was just done. It was like, that's the dude,
Audley Free, baby.
Everyone loves Audley Freed.
I love that fool. And then how did Luther Dickinson get in?
We've known Luther for years, North Mississippi All-Stars. We played with them in 2001, I think, for the first time. And then he and Rich did some stuff together when the Black Crowes weren't touring in 3 and 4. Like, they did a gig where they had a cover band, and he's just a guy we all knew. And when we needed to say, well, who should we get? I mean, I think Rich said, like, I wonder if Luther would do it. He's great. And again, Luther plays nothing like Audley, plays nothing like Mark. He's just Luther, and he's a fucking world-class talent and a guitar hero in his own right. And for the people that are following,
they're fired up.
Luther's the shit. And so that was one of those, we were blowing through Memphis, and he lives in Mississippi, right outside of Memphis. And we went over and jammed with him at his studio down, and his dad, Jim Dickinson, was there, and we hung out and shot the shit and threw some ideas around, and he just said, great, let's do it. And we went in and we made the album War Paint. It was really the first thing he did with us. We went right into the studio and made a new album, and it was just, spectacular.
You're on a desert island. You can only pick one of the guitarists to be in the Black Crowes.
Whoever played last.
That's Luther.
That's right.
So you're ideal, but that's like by default because he was the last guy in.
No, it's not by default. It would absolutely be Luther, because that's if there's a future for the Black Crowes, it's with Luther. I don't look at it like that. I literally am like, that's the band last I saw it. That's the band that if we were going to do something again, that's where it would have to start again.
You're out of your mind. You got to get Audley Freed back, dude.
Look. All those guys are awesome. I mean, there's no getting around it. We've been like the revolving door thing, like I said. Perfect world. I would love it to have been the same band forever. But those records all couldn't have been made with that band. The experiences wouldn't have been the same.
What if they
looking back over the whole thing, honestly, it's just been a fucking crazy-ass ride. Like, it's exactly what we all, in our stupid 19, 20, 20-year-old minds, were like, I just want this to be the wildest, fucking most unpredictable, intense experience it can be, and it has truly been that.
All the guitarists are touring with the Black Crowes at the same time in an imagination land. You got Audley, you got Mark Ford, you got Luther, you got the guy that you like, Jeff, and then
the guy that I like.
And then there's Rich with his acoustic in the corner, not plugged in. That's nice that you let him play along. Who plays lead?
What is wrong with you?
I'm just being a creep. I don't like Rich Robinson.
I think you gotta get. I'll give you his number. You need to get to know him a little bit.
You know what? I'll tell you exactly why. Because I see you guys in concert at, I forget what theater it was. It was in like almost East LA. John Ford, maybe. Fucking in the middle of a Crowes concert, Rich Robinson does 2 songs. Like, look, Patty Scalfa, this isn't why I bought my ticket, my man. And, like, is that him lobbying to play songs?
No, not at all. God, you know what? It's great, though, because I realize I'm so removed from what anybody else thinks of the Black Crowes.
When you're behind the drum kit...
it's like...
When you're behind the drum kit and Rich Robinson is playing his 2 songs, don't tell me you don't see the line like a fucking army of ants carrying rice up a hill. You don't see the line exiting for the men's room? It's not like when Keith Richards plays Happy. You hang out. I'm a fan. When Keith Richards plays Happy, no one goes anywhere. And the people that do leave, you're like, well, you're a douche because it's Keith playing Happy. But Rich doing 2 songs, you don't notice that there's a lull?
I do not notice there's a lull. This is how you see it, and that's awesome. Yeah. That's great. I don't see it like that at all. It's not. No, there's no First of all, no, he's not lobbying. I need to sing these songs. It's a band. He's written some songs. He sings some songs. It's amazing. I never think about it in those.
Well, yeah, they let Ringo sing Yellow Submarine. It's for fucking 5-year-olds.
First of all, don't.
I don't know why I just got so aggressive. I'm sorry.
I don't know either.
You know why?
Why?
Because we're talking about Rich Robinson, and I get angry when it's, I came to see Chris do his dance, man. How much time we got?
What's the battery say?
20%. We're good.
All right.
And we got to get into Jimmy Page, and then we'll tighten it up.
By the time that's like at 6%, we got to shut it down, because if it shuts down on its own, we might lose this whole thing.
All right. We'll skip over Rich. Apologies.
By this whole thing, I mean this podcast gold that we're spinning.
I understand that. Rich Robinson, I don't go see the Black Crowes to hear two Rich Robinson songs. I don't go see Springsteen to hear Patti Scalfa songs. And then if I see the Stones, if Keith wants to play Walk Before They Make Me Run, he's the one exception, I think, in all of music.
Okay.
Except for, I guess, Oasis, because they can interchange themselves. All right.
Except they are not a band, but whatever.
They broke up?
They're done.
All right. It seems like the more albums you put out, you sell less. However, I say that knowing you never have sold more live tickets. You guys are just an absolute guaranteed sellout wherever you go. How frustrating is that? Is that an accurate perception?
Yeah, and there's two things. Well, there's two phases of that. There's the 90s when everyone still did buy albums, and we sold less and less. And there's a very easy explanation. There's changing shifts. Like I look back at us and go, okay, there was the Guns N' Roses and the LA metal scene and all that, and then there was Seattle and grunge, and we were this sort of, we got to be right in between those two movements, and we were part of neither.
You were like the first jam band after the Dead.
And we were a rock band initially that jammed, and then I still think of us as a rock band that jams as opposed to a jam band that rocks, but we were always like, we were never a part of a movement of this is the thing. We were just our own sort of thing over here. It's always been that way. But I mean, it's real obvious. You look back, we did a shitload of promotion for Shake Your Moneymaker. We did a little bit less for Southern Harmony. We did hardly any for Amorica. We did none for Three Snakes.
I can tell you, by the way, we never mentioned it. Amorica, absolutely my favorite Crowes album.
Beautiful. No worries. No, I mean, there's a real obvious. You just look at the amount of there's the gigs.
Why do you stop promoting it? Don't you want to make money? Don't you like money?
At the time, we just hated doing that shit. Like, there's nothing worse than making videos. There's nothing worse than going into the 15 rock stations and doing the same interviews. That part of the gig, the actual work of it, we never saw ourselves doing that. Like, the bands that we took our cues from when we were a club band, like, we just looked at their replacements. That was, like, where we were coming from. We were not trying to be... If you put on the rock radio in 1989 when we were making Shake Your Moneymaker, nothing sounded like Shake Your Moneymaker. We never, ever had a thought of, we're going to sell millions of records. I remember stating, like, in the studio, man, if we could sell 100,000 copies somehow, that would be, like, bigger. I mean, because then they'd have to let us make a second one. Like, that's all I thought.
How do you guys...
We go sell 5 million copies, and then everyone expects you to... And we did all this promotion. We didn't know. You just go in, and someone goes, I'm with the label. Do this. And you just go, I'll do anything, because I don't want to go back and work at the record store again.
When the sales go down, each record, they get lower and lower. Doesn't a part of your business acumen get together with Chris and Rich and go, you know what? Why don't we put out War Paint, and we'll just fucking promote the shit out of it and make some money?
Well, yeah. Well, you say, well, let's promote it in a way that makes sense. That we see, there's a lot of promotion you can do that you do poorly. You know, we're not good at a lot of it, and we realize that, like, because we can't fake it. You know what I mean? We'd be better at flyers than doing 100 radio interviews a day. I mean, there's just certain things that we're better at doing, and we're good at playing live. You know, we're a good band, and there's times when, you know, other things make sense. But for the most part, but then again, in this day and age, no one other than pop artists is really selling a lot of records. Right. You make records for much cheaper and cheaper. And we really, you know, like when Napster hit in the late 90s, we were still selling albums back then. And all of a sudden, like, there's no more royalty checks. Like, overnight, like, your back catalog stopped selling. And we were like, well, that sucks. But you know what? We never were the band. We really never looked at it like, how are we going to make more money next year? It was always, we were the same idiots.
Have you guys been approached by any products you? Which ones?
A lot.
Did you turn them down?
Yeah.
Why? Get paid, dude.
We do well on the road. Like you said, we still sell a shitload of tickets.
All right, but if Swiffer Sweeper wants to use, you know, Sting Me or something, or like Neosporin wants to use, you know, whatever, Greasy Grass River, why not? Is that a band situation where you guys sit down and go, we can't sell out and take this $1 million check from the Neosporin people?
Yeah. Yeah. Simply put.
You guys actually are like you're the 5 guys left with actual integrity.
We've just not,
I want to sell your songs to Neosporin.
and I at this point, it'd be great. I mean, look, I have a Band-Aid on my finger right now, and there's Neosporin under it. That's a true story. I would, in my mind, if you break your foot, just put enough Neosporin on it, it'll fucking heal it. I mean, Neosporin's great.
You guys
but
make a decision as a band not to sell
songs.
Songs.
It's just not happened. I mean, there's been a couple movie soundtracks here and there where something's been on, but it's just, and by the way, Chris and Rich are the